Welcome everyone to part 3 of our hero game. Alright, so in the last version we left off by um, creating a score variable, and every time our hero touches the capsule it changes his score by 1 point. So now let's set a max for the score, and when we reach the max we will develop a you win sign. Alright, so the next thing we need to do is set up a conditional, and so we'll go to the green flag and go to the control panel, use another green flag, and we're going to say forever if then we want to say that the score is equal or greater than a particular number, then we will broadcast a game over or a you win sign. So we'll go to operators and we'll use an equal sign, and then we'll go to variables and we'll place our score variable inside of the left side of our equation, and then we can say if the score is 10 points then we want to broadcast that the game is over and you won. So we will go to control and we're going to use a broadcast. We'll take the broadcast and put it inside of our forever if loop, and then we'll name the broadcast, and we'll name this one winner, and click OK. Now we will go to the stage and we will go to backgrounds, and we will create a background that says you win. So we can let's just copy this background and we'll edit it, and then we'll use our paint and we'll change it to another color, and then we'll add some text. So we'll click on the T tool, we'll click a bright color, we can choose a font. There's a number of fonts in Scratch you can use. I'm going to just use something simple like Bookman Old Style. Let's see what that turns out, and just say you win. Now that's pretty small, so we can change the font size to a larger size, and then we can drag the sign anywhere on the background we like by clicking on the little black handle or little black square and dragging it to where we want it. So we'll click OK. So then we go to the scripts tab, and we want, when the green flag is clicked, we want a particular background to show. So we'll go to looks and we'll use the switch to background, and we want it to make sure it's on background 1 when we start. And then when we reached a particular score in our hero down here, remember we said if score is equal to 10, we will broadcast winner. So broadcasts allow us to communicate between different sprites. So if we go to the stage and then we go to make sure you're on the scripts panel, and we'll go to control, and then we'll use a when I receive, and notice that our broadcast is in here already, winner. So when I receive the winner sign, what we want to happen is to switch to the next background. So we can go to looks and we can switch to background 2. Now just so you might want better names for the backgrounds in this, so you can go to background and name this something like original, And you can name this background something like winner, because later on we're going to have a number of different backgrounds for the different levels. And each level will have different enemies and make it harder for our hero to win the game. So now we have a winner background. So now we can go back to scripts, and you can see we can change it to the names to original and winner. So let's go ahead and hit save. Now the hero has to also be able to lose the game. So every time we hit an enemy, we are going to subtract a point. So we can click on the enemy and we can go to control and use a green flag, and then forever if, go to sensing and use a touching block, and then forever if the enemy is touching the hero, we want to go to variables and we want to change the score by -1. And this code is the same for each of our enemies, so we can click on it, duplicate the code, and then drag that code into the next enemy. And now you can see that we have the same code in the next enemy. Now if you want to clean up your scripts, you can right click on the gray area and choose cleanup, and it will align your scripts. And you can do this, we'll do this for enemy 1 and enemy 2, and we'll also do this for hero. So that's a little trick. So again, we'll go to enemy 2, we'll right click and duplicate and put that code in enemy 3. We'll right click and clean up our scripts. We'll duplicate it one more time for enemy 4. And we will clean up our scripts. So now we need to create another background that says you lose. But before we do that, we need to have a condition in Hero that says, well, when we reach 0, then we lose the game. So we're going to change this code down here a little bit so we can keep all of our score related code together. So instead of using a forever if, I'm going to go to control and use a forever block. And it's going to check two conditionals. The first conditional will be the one we had before, so forever if the score is equal to 10, then we're going to broadcast our winner. And we'll toss this forever if by clicking and dragging it over to the panel. And now we have a second condition to check, so we'll take the if block and move it underneath the first if. Make sure that your block is not inside the first block. Both if blocks or conditionals need to be under each other. In this case, forever if our score is equal to 0, so we'll go to variables and use score, and we'll set this equal to 0. Then we want to broadcast that you lost, so we'll go to control and we'll take a broadcast and drag it over underneath our second condition. And now we'll use the drop down arrow and click new, and this time this will be loser or lost, whichever you prefer, and click OK. Now when we go to our stage, we need to use when I receive loser. We are going to switch to a loser background. So we'll go ahead and put that block in, and we'll have to create that block, that background first. So we'll go to backgrounds, and this time we will click copy again. We will change the name to loser, the background name to loser. Click Edit, and let's go ahead and change the background to a different color. Maybe something like in a red, or another type of blue, maybe a purple. It's your choice, really. I'm going to do kind of a brownish red. And I'll go ahead and use the same color, or I'll use a darker color for the text. And I'll say something like, "You lost." You can highlight your text, change it to the same font that you used before. We can change the color. Oh, we wanted a darker color. Now let's do brighter. And then we can also change the size. I believe we used 96 the last time. You can center your words by clicking and dragging on the black square or handle. And I'm going to go ahead and click here, and after lost, add an exclamation point, because that's what I did the last time. So we'll click OK. And now we have a "You lost" background. So we still need to go back to scripts and change winner to loser. And then we'll also right click and clean up your code. So now we want to test the code, so we can click on the green flag and it should go back to our original code. And if we click on the enemy, we're getting the same problem. See, the score is -138. So there's a couple things we can change. We can do the same thing that we did in our hero, where we said forever if touching capsule, wait until not touching the capsule, and then change the score. So we're going to right click and duplicate this and drag this over to our first enemy. And we're going to change capsule to hero in these two cases. And we'll change 1 to -1. And then we can throw out the other code. And we'll duplicate this one for the second enemy. And then we can throw out our original code. And we'll duplicate this a third time. Again, throw out our original code. And last time, duplicate for the fourth enemy. And this should fix our problem. So we'll start again. And the other issue is we seem to continually switching to our loser background, even though we haven't we haven't started yet. So let's see if we can fix that issue.